of EU hates Cafe, NA really doesn't seem to like, I believe it's Bank over Consulate. It's very interesting to see the way that they're able to ban these maps and which regions play what, and then that breaks down into the ban phase itself. So all the teams are in the lobby. We'll start with Oregon. I'll head to our map number 1 between Room Factory and Mindfreak, with Mindfreak starting on defense. Expectations are likely heading downstairs, I would guess.
Yeah, I think Oregon is one of the difficult ones because it's very hard to statistically look at what bomb site's better. Especially if you start top floor, you kind of force them to always run a mirror no matter what, or sorry, a Habana no matter what. And it's, to be honest, it seems 50-50 which site gets one more. Especially when they start pulling out the crazy like 3-4 man roams and meeting, where the whole intent is to hold it as long as they can, then drop back to site.
We've seen teams that have run, you know, your typical Hibana, potentially Capitao, set up designed to be able to take care of those hatches in main lobby as well as in the meeting hall, only to be thwarted by a team deciding, let's go upstairs first.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have great operators, don't get me wrong, but they are not as useful nor as impactful on that particular site, and you need to make some changes. I mean, a good example of that is Consulate. If you're attacking Garage, you're almost always going to take a Twitch and a Thermite, maybe a Thatcher and a Thermite. You just say, okay, let's go upstairs first. You now have a Thermite. Not really getting a lot of usage out of a Thermite on the second floor of Consulate.
Well, the really big gamble when you go for these like counter picks on operators is that if you don't end up attacking the floor that you're supposed to or you plan to, you kind of don't have what you want for the other one. So now you have to take this 50-50 mediocre thing instead of your default strat.
We already see the entry from Room Factory. They've taken complete control of the west side of that main floor. They're going to expend some of their resources just to drone upstairs. A double drone escort for Joystick, who will hit a goo mine up top, take 10 damage, and see who all is waiting for him above as Shepard on a Dokkaebi. How do you apply a Dokkaebi in this situation? Do you think that it's going to factor into a late push as Joystick rattles a couple shots off? And Armory gets first kill on a Magnet. He gets obliterated inside of Attic. I don't even know if he saw what hit him.
This is a really scary roam to pull off when you're getting triple droned as well.
King's
taken down by
Joystick.
Here, there.
Ponef eliminates Lusty as well. So now you see 2 for Room Factory as they hold an advantage. Joystick down. You've lost a Legion and a Mira. Losing a Mira, your Mira typically wants to stick around for a while. Shockwave just completely outduels Rizraz, and oh no! A team kill as Shepard gets punished as well. That'll help Mindfreak. You'd see a goo mine gets taken from above, but Aces and Kings are the last 2 left on site. Good that you have a smoke at least, as utility will do you well, but you have a bigger enemy than the 3 in front of you, which is time. There's a lot of it left.
At least the smoke is going to be able to burn these 40-45 seconds if applied right. So the time is a lot lower than you'd expect. As long as smoke is alive, that's kind of like having 2 operators, right? Because he can keep the stairs clean, so you have to drop hatch.
We've seen the Zofia used in this exact way. Some smokes go down, Candela's as well. Aces is just completely disabled inside of that Mira window, and they'll get a plant off very close to the wall. King's on the roam, takes out Shockwave. He'll get the diffuser, and now you can see Aces pushes out, and Room Factory now finds themselves at a disadvantage. A good answer from Mindfreak. It's all up to Red Groove, who surveys the hatch from above. Still some X-Kairos left, and will try to push the smoke out. Ace's Mira will disappear, and he'll rotate. He'll push just inside a closet and collapse on the second bomb site. Red Groove only has 20 seconds to work with. He'll go for a couple flicks through the wall. The sidearms of both operators doing work. Red Groove sustains some damage, but he finishes off the smoke. That's going to leave it all onto Kings. The Bandit, as you can see, Red Groove grabs that diffuser, starts to work his way in. Can the Bandit clutch it? He sees the Hibana, misses his shots, and Defenders win just on time alone. Mindfreak stealing that round away from a strong Room Factory start.
Yeah, and here we see the strength of having a smoke alive late game, right? Because even though you're up in numbers, if you can't actually push with that amount of people, then it doesn't really help you too much.
My surprise there, they had the Bandit posted up back by the secondary bomb site in the laundry room, not in the actual closet itself. when the Hibana pressured the smoke, they both rotated out. The fact that the Bandit didn't push up to Closet to either try to shoot the Hibana charges, in which Hibana didn't have the sight line to be able to take the Bandit out, or even just prevent the Hibana from dropping or coming downstairs, is a little puzzling to me. You left the smoke all alone, essentially just waiting at that point to stagger your push onto the last remaining attacker.
Yeah, 100%. There's kind of two ways of doing that, that whole 2v1 thing. You can hold your crossfire and stand your ground, and you're going to have a favorable fight no matter what. Or you can try and burn out the time and make your enemy try and fight one of you, and then delay the time in between and retake a new fight. Most of the times it's favorable to have a 2v1 though.
You at least fight for a draw at that point. You lose the smoke, but
Exactly.
at least the Bandit is there to clean up as Red Groove is distracted. The amount of times that we have seen a 3v1 or a 2v1 go in favor of the 1 because they've all essentially been glorified 1v1s where they've pushed, far too often. I think at this level, teams need that level of coordination to be able to get the most out of those situations. You allowed Red Groove to get far too close to taking that round away from you. First kill goes to Shockwave as Kings gets eliminated. He did clutch the round last time just simply by staying alive, but won't stay alive that long. Within 30 seconds of the round beginning, he's already gone. And we'll
So
see
Twitch really trying to benefit off the really late setup from the defenders here. Ella was still setting up the reinforcement as Vigil took down Twitch.
You still see some minor, I guess, alterations being done to the site. Just a couple, I guess, a minute into the round. It's not too uncommon, but surprising that a Twitch would go down that early when your job as a Twitch is likely to sit and spawn for the first minute, take out those mirrors, clear out your gadgets.
Exactly.
You shouldn't be in a position to get that close where you can have an engagement in the first 30.
But as with a run out getting taken off by the roof of the attic by Capital.
A really nice kill from Lusty. I thought that the Vigil was going to be able to do that, simply potentially damage drop off of Vigil's weapon, not enough to take the Capitao down. They still have plenty of time for Lusty to get reset if need be. They find that Shockwave, who had taken down Kings, is going to be gone himself. I don't know how I feel about a Vigil, particularly on this site, just because of the way that the site itself plays off. Rizraz storms in, he's going to take Ponaf down, and Ace is now able to throw some Candelas and smokes down as some fire bolts and asphyxiating bolts will cycle out members of Room Factory. Aces comes in and eliminates Shepard, and you can see another as Rizraz takes out Joystick, who was on the flank, leading once again Red Groove in the final minute. He'll now be zoned out by the asphyxiating bolt of Capital. Imagine how much easier this would be if Lusty had been taken by Vigil early on.
Exactly, and this is not the situation you want to be in with a Mira trying to retake in a 1v4.
A very loud 3 armor with some Candelas and smokes still available. Exactly. Diffuser in the hands of Rizraz being planted, but the health bars on the right side of your screen, Mindfreak has taken a beating. All members of that team are at the point where 1 to 2 shots will be a significant difference maker.
This is where we see them also show a lot of respect, right? They're not hunting for that kill. They're sitting still, they're applying these rules where if you're 4v1, you don't need to hunt anything. You can wait.
Exactly. Teams can throw leads by frag chasing, and Mira comes up. Red Groove eliminates Magnet, so that was one of the highest health percentages. We'll see aces, but can't do it. The Aussies will take 2 in a row. Room Factory, not a strong start on Oregon for the Mindfreak, hoping to be the very first team ever to win a map for APAC outside of their region. I think that really needs to be emphasized. No APAC team has ever even won a map, let alone a match.
There's more on the line here than just the game then, right?
Absolutely. You'll always be remembered. You'll always be remembered as the team that won your first map. I know Mindfreak, I mean, technically they did because they were here last Invitational, but on console. So we're talking specifically on PC Pro League. But still, I think now that it's the only Pro League, it's a notable achievement.
But we're seeing them, like, their execute on top 4, that was beautiful. They went in as a team, as a unit. They took control. In a few seconds, they had Kit's bedroom cleared, even though they ran through generator. They got all the ground right after their drone.
You saw very little pushback and very little doubt on the team, but very little pushback when they were able to take Master Bedroom and Closet. It was largely uncontested. Room Factory completely fell off, and at that point, you can't box yourself in with so little space in Oregon when you're fighting against the absolute pushing power of a Ying and the rest of the team there too.
Exactly. We might see some of the same coming up here with when you mix your Ying and your Dokkaebi at the same time, both being blind and having an audible Q is a really scary thing for defense. Because if you choose to back off, they'll hear it, right? And you might as well be blind and be ringing.
You could see that they'd used something. They didn't have the Doka B available to them, but this when it was, I believe it was Aces who ran right in and took out the Smoke, who was inside a Kids, completely blind. There was no chance at all of them to be able to come back.
And he lobs his flashbang in there, or his Candela, and then he runs in right after. The only counter to that is either a shotgun close and you got a blind fired, or you have it smoked off. But you don't want to have to throw a smoke grenade every single time a Candela comes in, because then you don't have the pressure when the 30 seconds are left and you need to keep them offside.
Those smoke grenades tied together can absolutely save a round for a team. Candela blind can last a couple seconds. That smoke grenade lasts much longer. It's a waste. First of the logic bombs going off, and most of the phones will be silenced right away. And you can hear the Candelas and smokes go off now too, as a ton of concussive grenades will get fired up the stairwell. Red Groove gets a first kill for his team as Room Factory manages to take a lead of 1. Aces down, Diffuser going, and oh my goodness, Mindfreak gave up total control, managed to take some of it back. Lusty takes out Red Groove for being traded off by Joystick. Shepard eliminating Rizraz means that right now Mindfreak at a significant disadvantage. Magnet and Kings the last 2 left, and they are very far off site. They will now need to absolutely retake as the diffuser plant is successful.
This is a huge risk to take that early in the game. I mean, we're almost only a minute in, and they're planting.
What a shot from Pone as he just manages to flick over to the head of Magnet, and Room Factory will get their very first round win in a flurry. That was very quick and also very efficient. I feel like right as you were commending Mindfreak for their top floor play, Room Factory executed.
They wanted to show as well, yeah.
Exactly, just as well. So for you, what were the key components of that push? What happened with Mindfreak? How did they give up that much control so soon into the round?
When you said they were doing the Dokkaebi call, they had the window open into to Kit's bedroom, right? So that's a really quick way of knowing if anyone's in that room, because there's a big audible difference if the phone's going off inside the room or outside the room. It's a lot harder with the footsteps because they're moving around and they're not as high pitch. But the high pitched sound of the Dokkaebi you can instantly determine if anyone's in a room. They call, they jump in, instantly plants off.
And then it was all just fell apart after that.
Yeah, it could have gone south really quick when they got the diffuser down, but luckily Ash managed to pick up the diffuser and just instantly plant. Instead of going for a revive or anything, they cut their losses there and go for the plant, because you don't need to be 5 people to win, you just need the diffuse or the rest of the team gone.
I feel like Room Factory failed, though, to keep that diffuse plant safe by allowing Lusty to just rotate right back in. And it was almost humorous the way that you could see that Room Factory jumped over that wall, or jumped over the window, stormed in through that rotation hole inside of Kids by the bunks, and then Lusty did the exact same thing. He just ran up the stairs and used the exact same hole. There was nobody covering it, managed to take out the diffuse plant as it was happening, but gets traded off immediately. And at that point, there was more than enough bodies up there to be able to just stick the diffuse again, as you said.
We definitely see Shockwave here being confident in his gameplay, taking a really old-school spawn peek towards Street.
He was the one that had run out on Lusty, the Capitao, earlier, too, so...
Yes, that didn't go too well.
No, it didn't. He came within a hair of taking care of Lusty, but Lusty ended up being an integral part of that push because those asphyxiating bolts were able to stop.
To be fair, Capitao's gun buff has really increased the amount of play we see him in now. His gun used to be not necessarily random, but his recoil was very high compared to his rate of fire.
I find it most interesting to harken back to Sao Paulo Year 2 Season 3 finals that just occurred. There was not very much Ying play at all. Capitao was seen in a number of rounds. Ying was played very sparingly.
Yeah, I feel like when Ying came out, everyone was surprised about how good she would be. And then we didn't really see anyone play her. And now it's like they've implemented it into almost everything. We see her almost every round. And the Candela is making a huge difference in the pushes.
I think teams have just really realized how much value you can get out of her gadget. Same with Zofia. I think when Zofia came out, a lot of people were saying she's got a lot in her kit. But the kit itself isn't that extraordinary. Now that they've realized what you can do with those concussive mines, and on top of that, the fact that Zofia can push an Ella and suffer reduced effects,
yeah,
I think that becomes
that's a huge thing. And a lot of people forget that the Zofia grenades, they trigger based on distance, right? The same as an Ella, so you can use them to clear rooms and to check if anyone's there.
They're just waiting. Castle barricades and Magnet holding an angle. Ponap takes out Lusty. final minute of round number 4. You can see they haven't done much of a job at all of clearing this roam game out, period.
Time's getting way too tight for them now with Smoke still being alive. There's 3 smokes still in play.
You'll see Magnet shreds Shockwave, so at least puts us back at a 4v4, waiting as Ponef sees if anybody's going to push through Attic. Nobody there. Shepard takes out Aces, and now Diffuser inexplicably goes down with 4 members of Room Factory still alive. Rizraz falls soon after the Diffuser, and now Magnet goes down too. King's holding a hard flank, takes out Pona. Double from Kings as Joystick goes down, and it's all up to Shepard and Redgroove to try and start that defuse. The Claymore of Lusty, and what a clutch from Kings as Redgroove falls, and Mindfreak snags victory from the jaws of defeat.
And this should not have happened. Very, very well planted in that corner, but with Smoke alive and 3 smokes up, that should never have happened. That's going to be a hard round to take.
They'll head down to the laundry room and supply room. Mindfreak has now taken 2 rounds that they really had no business taking whatsoever. Find themselves 1 round away from a potential win. And like we said, the very first map win for APAC on the PC Pro League.
In those 2 rounds were definitely Room Factory's rounds to lose and not Mindfreak's to win. As soon as you have... It's so important to say how much value Smoke has when he's alive. We saw the clock at 39 seconds, and he still has smoke grenades left, right? We're talking at least about 40-45 seconds, each smoke lasting for about 10, and the time in between, you don't push the millisecond that the smoke goes away, right? You need it to clear out, have an actual line of sight, maybe even re-drone, because you can't face check everything on site. There's too many angles to hide behind.
I'm amazed that both times it was Kings, the last one alive, who was able to pull it out. Yeah, Lusty got a Claymore from the grave. That's helpful.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's 4 enemies left, and Kings kills 3 of them while being alive. Lusty helps you out, and you stop that defuse plant. Room Factory just lacking that real top-notch coordination. Seems like they're getting 85% of the way there, and there's just a reason why they can't pull it through.
And the lighting not helping them too much either with the smoke grenade that goes up to the hatch. It's almost easier to see down to the bomb site when that's smoked by a smoke grenade. Or, sorry, Smoke's gas canisters.
It can get confusing when you're saying Smoke smokes and he's getting smoked out. And
exactly. It's too many smokes.
Too many smokes. What I was going to say, though, was it definitely did look like Kings was able to see down that drop hatch onto Redgroove, who I believe was defusing. Or it might have even been Joystick who was defusing. The crazy thing is that... Sorry?
It's good to mention the mute here as well. Having one on the hatch, meaning that they have to put their Hibana charge on the bottom right corner to be able to get that hatch open, means it's so much easier for anyone to potentially peek and shoot that.
Magnet lights up Joystick inside of Attic. They're doing double duty. And a flash will go down, but Magnet smartly drops. The open hatch above him means that he can be pressured from 2 angles, as the opening above the top of rear stage will mean that anybody pushing out of the top of the tower can see him too.
This shows good run play as well. When you force their attackers to hunt you through the map, it doesn't matter how much damage he takes, right? They don't know how low he is. Him going directly back to site basically means that they've spent all this time, all these gadgets, flashbangs, Ash's health, and nothing's happened.
You expend a lot of your operator's utility for literally no gain. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say Rizraz gets first kill on the Redgroove. It seems like either Redgroove dies first or he's the last one alive for Room Factory so far through 4 rounds. But you're right. You use those flash grenades, you use those gadgets, and what do you get? You get somebody who's softened up, who might be easier to kill in your later push.
But they're hiding behind all the full health teammates on site.
Exactly.
So, and we see having Hibana being taken out before a hatch being opened, that makes it really hard to get on site.
That is a very important and high priority pick that they just got. And I mean, yeah, you've got just under a minute left. I think the big thing too with roamers, and we try to stress it, is that as a roamer, though your primary job is obviously almost always to get kills, your real primary job is to burn time. Yeah, you took 70 health off of that mute, but that mute took something far more valuable from you. They took 2 minutes out of the round away that you're now going to need to scramble, and scramble is what is going to happen. You still see Rizraz on the lamp trying to find out if somebody's in Attic. What a shot from Rizraz as Joystick goes down, and 5v3 in favor of Mindfreak, looking to go into match point. Shockwave creeping around Rizraz. Aces takes out Shepard. Pone gets the first kill for Kings, but still Room Factory finds themselves at a hefty disadvantage. Outnumbered 2-1. Shockwave comes in, gets one. A double from Shockwave as Magnet and Aces falls, but he gets taken out by Lusty, and what a double kill!
Shockwave almost turned that around for them.
The
That
action
was
happening
way
too
closer.
fast for us to get up there. Oh my. What a comeback from Mindfreak.
Rizraz getting both of his kills instantly after a punch hole. That's rare. You don't see that often. You melee one hole and then instantly get a pick. That's either really good calls or timing just wasn't in his favor.
I feel like one of the good things that I really like about having APAC in the region is they are one round away from APAC getting their very first map win. The one thing that I really like about their inclusion is that there's a lot of extremely talented players playing down in Singapore, in Japan, in South Korea, you know, in all of Southeast Asia, in Australia and New Zealand, that just really don't get the same spotlight. We don't get to see them as often. You don't get to come across them. You know, it's tough for them to get the exposure that they deserve as players, and it's nice to be able to shine the spotlight on them right now. And also, more than that, it's great to see APAC finally be able to tell people that, you know, it was a great choice to be able to expand there.
I think some of the things we need to give people a lot of credit for is that the score doesn't necessarily reflect the individual player skill. You can have 5 really good players where, you know, 90% of their shots being hit, their mechanics, their movement are amazing. But the one thing that is lacking is the experience in the meta that everyone else is playing right now. It's really hard coming up fighting against all of these teams that have been playing the same strats against each other, trying to counter that for so long. And you come from a place where you have your own, but smaller pool and different meta of players.
I absolutely agree. You learn a lot from being able to play one another. I think one of the knocks that, you know, Latin America had was that they didn't know the meta as well. They didn't know the strats as well. Shockwave, are you kidding me? Lusty and Magnet get taken down from a very aggressive play from Valkyrie, has the Valkyrie cam available outside as well to be able to hop out of the window and potentially find a 3rd or 4th victim. Strong play from Room Factory, who are currently facing a potential loss on map number 1.
This is probably one of the places where having both Twitch and Sledge is a bit of a gamble, instead of either removing Sledge for an IQ, seeing as there isn't too much soft destruction you can do on this map that isn't from below to upstairs, right? Mostly we see Buck going into kitchen to destroy up to kid's bedroom. There really is only a few vertical walls that are worth opening.
I don't know if Aces just saw Joystick sitting inside a classroom, just waiting. But Rizraz on the stairs is aware of someone being there. What a couple shots. Joystick rotates. Rizraz, a really good play. I got to imagine that it's a mixture of good game sense as well as great comms, because this is now the 3rd time that he's been either able to get a kill right after making a kill hole or just simply through a wall itself in the last 2 rounds.
Yeah. And you can see on their positioning when they're pinching people like this, right? You don't have a chance. As soon as you get locked in, you're going to have to fight or you're dying as you're running away. There's no other option.
Absolutely. Shockwave gets his 3rd kill too. That Valkyrie right now is crucial to the success of this team. You still have a Hibana, you still have a Ying, and most importantly, you still have a minute left. Shockwave pushes out. That's a 4th kill for Shockwave. He's got all of them. Can he see Rizraz, who will take down Ponaf? Rizraz as well having 3 kills, but Red Groove will steal the ace away from Shockwave, not let him have it. But more importantly, Room Factory as a team effort win round number 6, and they're still in it.
It was one of the rules of FPS when you use a smoke grenade, make sure you know exactly where it lands. You don't want to have your enemy stand halfway in the smoke being able to see stuff.
Especially with the new changes to the smoke grenades as well. They're a lot better, but at the same time, you can, if you don't throw it properly, they can either run through it or they can potentially see around the corner of it. They're really powerful, but you have to use them effectively.
Generally, you want to leave enough distance between you and the enemy team where the smoke is closer to them, so they're the ones that have to run through the smoke and you will see them come closer. If you play the smoke too close to yourself, you leave too much room for them to rotate and you're kind of just blocking your own vision.
Shockwave right now leading the way, not just with his team, but the whole game more of an even spread with Mindfreak, only Magnet trailing at the moment. The team putting in a solid effort. 2 rounds, though not necessarily shown on the scoreboard, can largely just be attributed to Kings. I think the main scoreboard itself doesn't show the full picture either.
It definitely doesn't show the strong pinch of Riz, where he melee stuff and just has people locked down instantly. There is no way you can betray that just by the amount of kills he's gotten.
As well, the fact that 2 rounds should have gone in favor of Room Factory, but lost in the dying seconds would put this on a 4-2 in favor of the Russians.
Yes. Again, it's showing that actual score numbers is not always the only way to look at a game. You can have a 5-0 that wasn't close, and you can have a 5-0 that was amazingly close.
It's even definitive rounds. It can be a 6-5, but if every single round is, going, even the rounds that the team that wins, but they win it by 1, if that makes any sense, you can still say that, yeah, we lost 5 rounds, but we almost won them 2. It's harder to describe right now, and then I guess my words are lending to me. You see that Mindfreak is playing much tighter on site. Last time they were able to play on the site, they basically got bum rushed, and they didn't have much of a way of getting out of it. Room Factory just stormed in and took the entire site.
That Valkyrie can prove in really expensive to throw out there.
You can see Aces now lit up, still waiting. They're going to go for a frag grenade, but the Valkyrie has moved. Really only need to clip a small portion. Magnet gets kill number 1 under Red Groove. Rizraz eliminating Joystick, and Mindfreak holds an advantage of 5-3.
And we still see the continuing of Hibana being the first one to be taken out almost every attack round on Room Factory. Great nade from Shockwave there.
Oh, ill-advised timing from Magnet. Shockwave with 200 IQ expects the push, and right now he has kills 10 and 11 in this round. A really strong performance from him is currently elevating his team. You can see the rest of Mindfreak just holding down on site. Both of your roamers are gone. You've still got the strong, capable fragging potential of both Lusty and Rizraz and Kings, all 3 of whom are doing an exemplary job. Candelas go off with 1 minute left to go in round number 7. Match point still in favor of Mindfreak. Ponev gets a beautiful shot on the Kings, leaving it to 3v2. So after a good volley of kills for Mindfreak, a strong advantage for Room Factory as it will grow. Now Rizraz down, Ponev jumps right in, and he manages to eliminate Lusty. It takes a lot of bullets, but they get the kill.
Even with the loss here, we saw something rather smart from Mindfreak. We see Miro turn around, ping the window for his teammate to get that open. So in case they push from Kid's bedroom, he has a way to actually fight back on that. One thing you really never want to do is leave a Miro window that can then be taken over by the attackers. You don't want your defense to become something that you have to fight against.
It's unfortunate that they've been playing so well on Laundry Supply Room because Mindfreak just does not look like the same team when having to defend upstairs.
No.
Another thing to attribute is now we are still on match point, but defense in favor of Room Factory. Mindfreak are going to have to ensure that they use the proper composition of operators too. You were, I think, rightly critical of their pick with the Sledge earlier on. They did not get the most value out of it. They're now going to go with the Twitch. But the last time, if you remember correctly, that we saw Kings on a Twitch, he clutched the round. The time before that, he died right at the start. So
exactly, and if that's operator, if he's extra, confident on that gun, it's really difficult to say. You could question Shockwave's pick on Vigil here as well, but seeing as he has 13 kills, that surely is working out for him.
He had, that was, if I remember correctly, 3 or 4 on the round last time. A heavy castle defense inside a meeting hall from Room Factory means that they will need to spend, Mindfreak will need to spend more time, not just finding the roamers, but also expending their gadgets and making sure that they value what they have available to them.
And especially when they're low on wire, no lesion traps here, no Valkyrie cams, they need them to burn some gadgets before they start executing. If they can get a pick off Hibana again, leaving at least one of the hatches reinforced, that would be huge.
Very susceptible to a rush as well.
Yeah. Well, they open up the wall into blue down from meeting. So if they do rush, all it takes is 2 guys on that hatch and you're stuck.
Only 1 set of barbed wire with the smoke, likely seeing a C4 from the Mira in place of a deployable shield, and then likely 6 potential impacts. Unless Pone maybe brought barbed wire, thinking that the Ela rotates could be made by Vigil. First kill goes to Shockwave, though. That looked so good. as Lusty goes down a very dependable shot, and the Capitao too. More important than anything than losing that para or the player is you don't have those asphyxiating bolts, and now as well, 2 of your smokes also gone.
And it gives you a strong mirror window in Laundry, because as long as Capitao is alive, that mirror window isn't worth anything if the asphyxiating bolt hits.
Most good teams will be able to prevent a Twitch drone from being able to get in, as there's a long road around Laundry and Supply Closet to get to that mirror window itself. Teams are usually prepared for that, so Kings will have to be particularly extra stealthy in order to get it, if he can get it at all.
That's why you always see teams making holes that are a little bit above floor height, so the Twitch drone can't get through there, right? It has to go through the hallway, and the Twitch drone is difficult to see, but it's very visible when it's in the middle of the hallway.
And that's a good note, and I think there are a lot of people who don't know that, especially people who might be new to the game or those who are not as experienced as certain players. The Twitch drone can't jump. You deprive them of the ability to do that. I know a lot of teams love to put a potentially deployable shield in there, but just literally watch the doorway and make sure that their holes don't go towards the floor.
Exactly. I've even seen people put a barbed wire between the boxes and the bomb, put a battery in that, because you'll know when that battery gets shot, that gives a louder audible cue than the Twitch drone driving around.
Shockwave proving that he's just unstoppable will now eliminate Magnet. He is essentially a one-man army, as they have still entombed themselves inside a meeting hall, and there is no way at the moment for Mindfreak to be able to pinch this. But look at that, 3 downstairs. Shepard eliminates Kings. Aces takes out Ponef, but gets traded off by Red Groove. It's all up to Rizraz. A double from Rizraz as Shepard and Red Groove fall, and he now has control of that mirror window, waiting to see if anybody decides to push him. One positioned on stairs to retake the site, and another will head through meeting. They do have control of the hatches from above. Rizraz grabs Diffuser and is almost completely safe, as he will get that plant down. Joysticks drops, Rizraz gets off of the plant, and will now need to try to figure out where the pressure is coming from. Turns his back to Shockwave. A 3K will send us into overtime. It feels like just a couple minutes ago, this was looking to be locked out by Mindfreak, and now we've got at least 2 more rounds to go.
Yeah, Rizraz really pulling his weight on this game, but you see that it's very, very important to mention how much respect Room Factory is showing them. In this 2v1, they're not peeking. They go out, they shoot a few bullets, and they go back and hide. They know he has to plant. There's no reason to take the fight. They don't need to kill him. They just need the time to run out.
Exactly. Don't get the diffuser down. Don't even need to kill him. You can even push him, and when the timer's done, if he doesn't stick that plant, then it's over. Look at that, 16 kills for Shockwave. I believe it was Shepard who had the highest kill-death ratio of any European player in the qualifiers. But Shockwave right now, 16, 2, and 4. Doing that on your very first LAN for Pro League is mighty impressive.
It's a good way to get in. Let's say it like that.
There are teams in Pro League right now in Europe who are probably looking for members, and this is a good proving ground for them. Challenger League is, of course, the system that feeds teams to Pro League. For those that are unfamiliar, you need to qualify for Pro League through Challenger League. If you finish in the top 2 of Challenger League in your region, it means that you get to fight in relegations against the 2 worst Pro League teams. Shockwave, though, a rare misstep will give his position away, and that cam is as good as useless now, because they know where your position was. They're suspecting that there will be one there. They'll be able to find it pretty quick.
Hopefully it might at least burn a little bit of time. We saw him pick it up again and run away, right? So
he's used it somewhere, thrown it on top of the bus.
And gone it is.
It has no life expectancy whatsoever.
That's one of the things with Valkyrie. If your cams are there and they stay, there is no better operator in that moment. But when your cams are taken out, you're just left with mediocre gun and a C4.
Same thing with Echo, though. If you see a lot of less than confident Echoes will throw out their Yokai drone. You lose a Yokai early on, you are
rather than a rook.
Yeah, you are basically a suppressed rook. That is all, with a better secondary sidearm. And your whole team, though, won't have as much survivability as they would with those trauma plates.
Yep.
A bomb has been located.
Good, pretty default mirror setup here, but this completely locks out any attic push, and even makes, I'd say it makes master bedroom push rather difficult unless you take control of downstairs to get that mirror position out.
They've opened up inside of Closet. We'll do some drone work to see where people are. Like you said, it's very difficult to dislodge that white stairs mirror if you don't have somebody pushing either through big window or from below. You'll see maybe a buck, or you'll even have a jackal shotgun, as it can be a not a suitable secondary, but it can do the trick in a pinch.
That's especially why we see Valkyrie playing exactly where she is now. Not necessarily because it's a good position to play. She's rather easy to get out of there, but as long as she's there, that mirror window is safe.
Right. Because the only other way would be to either dislodge it through Closet with a Hibana, which there is one, Rizraz, but not sure how he's used all of his X-Kairos. We know that 2 have been used at minimum on that Closet, and 0 for Rizraz means that that mirror is basically going to continue to stick around unless something radically changes in the next minute. First smoke goes down, we'll give a bit of cover as they can push in. Lusty gets kill number 1 on Aponef, but traded off as Joystick gets Kings. That's a refrag, rather. And you can see Aces storming in, though. Goodbye to Shockwave, though. Joystick and Shepard are there to ensure that the team has at least some fighting prowess. It's only Lusty and Rizraz, both of whom have played very well so far this match. Diffuser down will give them an advantage, but numbers they do not have. Joystick very slowly pushes around the corner and starts to work away the defuse. Lusty doesn't know it, only to come in. He gets Red Groove, but downed, and that'll be Room Factory's round to win. That's an incredible 4 rounds in a row for Room Factory.
They seem unstoppable once the planet's down. That doesn't really scare them. They're okay with other people being on their bomb site. They'll share.
I am surprised with the way that Rizraz played that Closet push as well. Prone, legs exposed, waiting for somebody to peek you through Closet. You have a very small angle that you can see where they can see a lot more. You don't really have much of a chance there. I was surprised that he would take that angle. That does seem like a bit of a misstep from him.
I think when they're attacking the top floor with this no IQ sledge setup, they need an Ashe, they need a Buck, something to be able to remove that mirror window. As you say, you can Hibana charge it, but it's a really awkward angle to get, and you put your Hibana in a really bad spot. And often we'll see people shoot a Hibana charge through the big window just to remove all ADSs. You're guaranteed to get the ADSs removed.
Similar to what we see on Cafe. A lot of times if you know that you don't need all 3 X-Kairos charges, then one of those, which are 6 pellets, which can take out 3 ADSs, you can completely remove the usefulness of the entire bout of Jaeger's gadgets in literally 1 shot.
Yeah, and you get feedback as well, which is a great thing. You'll see if these charges get taken out, so you know that you actually got a Jaeger device down. Whereas if you're blindly EMPing before a jump in, they might be a bit further away than you expect.
Absolutely. And you know it's dependable, and I mean, yes, you realize that the hard destruction brought by Hibana is very invaluable, especially on certain sites, but that value can be built upon by using them to clear out the ADSs. You might not need all of them. Yeah, you'll get value from 2 charges to maybe blow up hatches or even a wall, but then that 3rd charge, you don't get as much value out of it in terms of site destruction, but instead of the ability to clear things out for the rest of your team.
Yeah, and when we see Lesion being played now, just to probably win a little bit more time. Their mute worked really great last time in terms of just wasting time.
They have a mirror window for him at the back of Attic with, it doesn't look like the one towards the north is a full complete rotate hole. We'd have to see a little bit closer. You hear the audio cue as I believe that's the Ashe steps into a Lesion trap, though Magnet does get droned out. And he'll pop the mirror hatch and give himself a full rotate hole. I would question why he wouldn't just use that grenade earlier on to give him a full rotate hole than that a little angle that was blown open by the sidearm shotgun of Amira.
By saving it, he leaves himself with more opportunities later on if he could possibly rotate towards bedroom side if they went for a tower take.
A very good point. Rizraz! Oh my! Ponef and Shepard get taken down, and Riz a 3rd! Can he get pushed by a 4th? The Jaeger comes down and cleans house. What a good read. Goes for a 4th, but his streak is over. Red Groove will cool him off, and it's just Joystick and Red Groove left on really a push that should not happen.
Now, there seems to have been a little bit of misdroning there, miscommunication, I guess.
Red Groove manages to also tag and then finish off Lusty. So 2 for him to answer. Rizraz is 3. They're going to have to reposition. Hibana and Ashe are 2 powerful operators to have in the clutch when need be. Just a lot of raw fragging potential and a ton of speed, but they will be slowed heavily, not just by the toxic babes of Aces, but also the fact that those Lesion charges, those goo mines, are just going to continuously build up over time and slow them down as Magnet stays alive.
And there is no Ashe in the world that is comfortable pulling those Lesion mines out. You want to keep your momentum and your speed, and they're normally in a place that if you want to pull those out, you got to back off.
Again, not only does it take 10 damage or 10 HP off of you, but it also, like you said, it costs you the momentum. Red Groove, though, did shoot one of the bandit charges, gives his position away before the actual goo mine itself starts to do some more damage, and will once again let them know. A well-timed smoke, but it doesn't look like it's exactly where it needs to be. There does appear that there is maybe a small window of opportunity for the Hibana to push in. Joystick will drop and go for a pre-fire and manages to take out Kings from Red Groove off screen. The Ash working as well.
10 seconds left.
This is tense right now. Rizraz doing so much work to put his team in good position. Joystick eliminates Magnet. Aces takes out Red Groove, and it's all up to Joystick. He just needs to live. And once again, Aces just survives. That's it. Mindfreak just hangs around, and they manage to win that, and they're now on match point.
We saw a good reason why comboing different damage over time abilities can be really strong. The Legion just pulling a few HP off you before you go for that plant makes the smoke grenade that much stronger, right? If he was full HP there, he would have gotten the defuse off.
Very likely, and it could have even gotten in. The Legion traps also were very important to slow him. You saw you can't run, you are at a reduced speed. Both teams now on match point. So we had seen that Room Factory was on match point. Now as well, Mindfreak is on match point. And we are currently... this is a great start to what I'm hoping is a very spirited contest moving forward through the rest of the maps.
See both Rizraz and Shockwave doing immense work here. Rizraz is 3k that... We can argue that that probably shouldn't have happened with 3 drones on the map and 2 guys covering the angles, 1 outside main door and 1 in garage. He still manages to just walk down, win his first gunfight, shoot a guy on a drone, and pull the other guy off in garage.
It was a great showing. He now has 12 kills. Both Shockwave and Rizraz right now very broad shoulders for their team.
10 seconds left.
This is where when you have people that have this much momentum in a game, because it normally doesn't happen every game, right? You have different people have different games that they shine in or where they're just hitting every shot. When you lose that guy to a spawn kill, for example, that really hurts.
Losing Shockwave right now would not be great. He somehow has taken 1 or 2 damage, possibly from being too near an impact, either for himself or from another. Complete rotate holes inside of Attic. They do have an Ella mine in case he does get pushed. They know how aggressive some members of Mindfreak can be, running 2 speeds at minimum almost every single attack, sometimes 3 with Capital. A great from Shockwave. Great shot from Shockwave as Magnet just goes too slowly through that window. Not as great of a map for Magnet as it has been. Usually a good and strong performer for the team, but right now lagging behind it by just a step or 2.
I think a lot of people are surprised about the amount of Vigil we see. I think before here, a lot of people wouldn't have put him very high up on the must pick list, but we're seeing almost every team at least run him once or twice.
Especially Counter Logic, who will be coming up next, trying to fight for their lives against YAG Gaming, the 4th Latin America team to qualify for this event.
Yeah, I talked to Astro, talking about Vigil being taken out by Capital and Attic. I talked to Astra yesterday about the Vigil pick. He's running the Bus G just because it's a good long-range gun, and the SMG-12 is so strong.
It gives you a good variance. You can fight at close to medium-sized range as well as from a little bit farther away. Lusty dropped by Ponef. You see Joystick coming up as well. And they'll both vault in. Candela's rattling around in the background. You've got 2 off-site trying to get back. Drone work from Mindfreak trying to figure out where everybody is. They are a bit scattered, and they currently are behind by 1 in terms of body count. You can hear the UMP of Joystick firing away just inside of Attic, trying to get the long-range kill into Armory, or just outside of Armory, through the window.
You have to remember, each of the attacking players right now know that the timer is -30, because as long as Smoke is alive, that's time that they can't push.
Still a lot of roam. This is one thing that Mindfreak has really struggled with, is they've been able to take the site, but they don't really ever get the meeting hall clear successfully, the way they need it to, and it causes them a lot of issues. And Pona's just waiting to strike, same with Joystick. 30 seconds left, more Candela's going. Rizraz holding that diffuser. Shepard takes out Aces, and now with Rizraz down, it's all up to Kings. Mindfreak was on match point for most of this match, but Room Factory right now proving that you can come from behind, and that is all she wrote for map number 1. Apex still looking probably their best chance of taking a map for their region falls just short. Room Factory goes up by 1 on a pretty good play from the whole team, but oh my, Shockwave, what a match.
That was quite an impressive show of skill there, yeah, definitely.
Proving that Vigil is maybe sometimes worth picking, and he'll tie things off with 17 kills, which in any match at this level, in any way, shape, or form, is impressive no matter who you are.
And amazingly rare.
Amazingly rare is a very good way of putting it.
You rarely see people on double digit, right? And then getting 17.
Rizraz was in double digits as well. So we're going to wait for matchup number 2 between these teams. So what is your main focus? What are your main thoughts? We saw both of them compete. We saw some very good defensive holds. We saw some pretty brutal defensive holds that fell apart very, very quickly.
Yeah.
What's your read for both of these teams at, I guess, the end of match number 1?
I think we can both agree that when their execute works out, it's beautiful, it's fast, it's really efficient, but there's lagging this, I don't know, coherence about it in the end of the few seconds of the round, where they leave gaps or they don't have enough control of the roamers coming back. They seem to get their control and then just not be able to keep it. Both teams on their attacks, right?
Their retakes have not been as great as they need to be. They've just, yeah, I would agree. I think that the big thing is that once their defense falls apart, they have no way of regaining that footing. It's gone for good. The attackers have such a strong grasp on not the site, but also the understanding of their own strats that they can use that to maximum advantage. Seeing what we saw on Oregon, though, you said that Room Factory was a team that likes to compete at close range. We definitely saw that, though. Shockwave did get a probably surprising amount of longer range kills with that sidearm of the SMG-12 on Vigil. Consulate is up next. Take us through into the viewers that might not be as well versed. How is Consulate going to vary for both their playstyles versus Oregon?
Depending on what bomb sites they take, they're just going to be further away from each other, right? So we're going to see way more 1v1 fights, most likely, unless they're going to take these chances of having a 3-man roam, which can be quite the gamble, especially when on Oregon we saw some of the players on bomb site dying way before the roamers did.
Right.
So, and smoke definitely not having as much value. You, on basement on Oregon, you just can't push when smoke is live, right? Unless you manage to somehow plant right next to him.
And I was also going to say on the other side, smoke not having as much value on the attacking side. We saw a lot of failed pushes from attackers, especially with Ying. This is one of the rare matches where I would argue that Ying was not anywhere near as effective as when her strategies are executed by teams that have been around maybe a little bit longer or maybe a bit more well-versed. But map number 2 underway, Consulate, is where we will go. Starting on defense is Room Factory. They'll opt to go downstairs. So a bit of mind games when all the sites are open as to, do we take a Thermite, do we take a Thatcher? I like what's being brought from Mindfreak. They're bringing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you can see Mindfreak's pretty much just set up to, it doesn't really matter where they go. If they're going top floor, they would just, you know, probably Thermite bathroom or just have Thermite play as an actual fragger. But having both the Banner and Thermite, first off, they don't have to be too scared if one of them dies, which is a thing that I think a lot of people miss. If you only play Thermite or only play Banner, you are in a really bad position if one of them dies. Having both of them still leaves you able to push from wherever you want, no matter who dies early.
Final setup being done in round number 1. A mobile defense. I think these are the 5 most common operators that we always tend to see on defense here. The 5 most popular operators in Pro League last season entirely. I don't know if we'll see that much variance on defense at any point. I think the attacking meta is one that is more likely to be shaken up routinely than the defensive meta. The defensive meta tends to stand pat quite well. Maybe sub out a Valkyrie, a Pulse in place, or maybe an ACOG on, be it a Dog, a Rook, or an Echo. Room Factory, though, you talked about respect. Room Factory going for spawn peaks on 2 maps now. Joystick will take out Aces as Kings is able to redeem his teammate, and that'll be a Blackbeard, though. Wow. Joystick as the Jaeger was able to take out a Blackbeard and then almost a Sledge.
And Room Factory definitely seeming to be okay with losing 1 or 2 guys just off the off chance of them getting a spawn kill, because it slows down the attack. Even if you don't win your spawn kill, the fact that you keep peeking it and every round you're doing it, you're delaying attack by at least 30 seconds, right?
And losing a Blackbeard on the garage site is not as important, though. Of course, you can always stick a Blackbeard out by those destroyed panels and maybe hold a long angle, but that you'd imagine that that's going to be Rizraz's job on Glaz to try and be as far away from possible, be able to pick off the opponents as you see them moving on site.
You could arguably say that Blackbeard is way stronger for top floor than he is for basement when you have your glass. Mostly you see him countering the spawn picks and then setting up somewhere, just cutting off a rotation.
Now, how sad it is for him to be countering spawn picks, you said, and being the first operator to die as well. Obviously not
not normally the guy you wanna lose first, at least.
For those that don't know, Zeronic, a pretty notable Blackbeard player, I would say, amongst the entire community.
Might be a bit biased, yeah.
Yeah, you maybe played him once or twice. Shockwave getting aggressive on the Kings on the bottom of yellow stairs. My apologies, as one panel will get blown up on the garage. Now Rizraz standing just barely sees the feet of Shockwave. Doesn't manage to land a shot at all. Looked like he could almost see the foot of the smoke as well of Shepard, but instead will now drone for his team, knowing that he is far enough away that he's really not in any danger.
Because of the height difference here, it is really scary having a glass on that car. You'll see so many arms and legs sticking out, and you just can't get a headshot lineup on glass. And you don't want to fight the guy on body damage.
And Ponef just creeping. Crouched Ella completely silent. Similar to a Prius under 20 miles per hour. Completely silent. So Rizraz now just watching. Oh, Shockwave, an ill-advised push. The arm of Shepard seen for just a second as the C4 from Red Groove goes out, and Shepard will manage to clear off Lusty. Though they have gotten the diffuser down, so they basically traded the life of Lusty for a successful defuse plant. Ponef from above looking to see if he can see anybody trying to find the glass. He'll vault out and be completely exposed. Magnet sees him and oh no, Ponef, you cannot be doing that. Nobody bothering to go at all for the defuse right now. Just the smoke and the mirror left, and they will completely expose themselves. Rizraz knows that the fuse plant is going off. Not even a chance for Red Groove, who Magnet snatches that kill. But Rizraz manages to get the last, and you'll see that Mindfreak take round number 1.
And funny enough, again, it all comes down to, you know, half a second time interval. If that diffuse didn't go down and the smoke or the C4 stopped the diffuse, we'd most likely have seen it go the opposite way. But 50 milliseconds here and there might change a lot.
Pretty surprising that he didn't manage to get that kill on the Mira, as Magnet just sniped it away from him. Room Factory still leading right now by 1. So round number 2 will start. The overlay is back for all of you, updated to show that Room Factory is indeed in the lead. And for the defense, in the defense, Aces running a mute, so a little bit of a different SAS operator than we're used to seeing. Take us through why you would get any value out of a mute on this site versus some of the others, or potentially even another operator.
Yeah, I was waiting to see exactly that. So when you jump up there, you basically block all drones going on the stairs. Now we're probably going to see him remove some of the screens here.
10 seconds to go.
Put a mute jam on there, cuts other drones off as well on top floor, and it makes clearing for roamers so difficult.
I think it's worth noting that for a lot of people, it doesn't really occur to them that there's also a vertical distance that mute jammers work. So for example, on Oregon, you're to put one on that washing table downstairs. If you place it correctly, it can jam the hatch above. So not only does it work in terms of width around it, but imagine it as a sphere. You can do great job of denying those drone plays. We've seen Penta do it on multiple floors before when they've been able to completely cut off roaming on the second floor and making it very difficult for their team by just placing them well. And here now on the bottom floor, used to cut off drones on the top floor as well.
Yeah, and the amazing thing with that is that not only are they cutting off the drones, but they're also almost impossible to shoot before you're actually on site. So if you want to clear for these droneless, you can't chase them with drones. You have to face check everything, or you have to use EMPs, and that's not a thing you want to use your EMP on.
Not one EMP per jammer is
that is not a worthwhile trade.
Not most of the time. I mean, it really depends. If you're not bringing a bandit, you see somebody can maybe mute jam a wall that you need to take care of, maybe at that point. But I mean,
100%. If you need to get through something, that makes sense. But if it's just to get a drone past,
absolutely,
it's difficult to justify.
Joystick will lead things off with Lusty going down. You do hear a missed tase of a Twitch drone in the background. That was Joystick playing on top of yellow stairs. He'll now pressure inside a bathroom where he sees the Ella, who will manage to get away. Rizraz losing just about half of his health. Managed to break the barricade and push in towards the bottom of spiral stairs. Meanwhile, outside of the courtyard, Shepard is longingly looking in towards B and realizing they have not managed to get one of those pesky mute jammers at all.
Rather noticeable angle from Ash as well. Standing up on top of the yellow stairs, he's actually able to see all the way down the kitchen door on site, through the bathroom hatch.
Rizraz eliminating Joystick. He taken some damage earlier. Magnet now adds to it with Ponef going down. Rizraz losing even more health, sitting on 1 or 2 HP. Anything will take him out in almost a guaranteed one shot. Still have the Blackbeard alive above. You can hear the exothermic charge blow one of the panels on the garage to put some pressure on the defense as Shepard works away on yellow stairs, where he has been for roughly the last minute or so.
Funny enough, as we saw Blackbeard walking past here a few seconds ago, we saw 2 drones already stuck in the mute jammer, so it's doing its job already.
Tries to get around, is conscious of the fact that that mute jammer's radius will prevent the Twitch drone from going down. All you need to do is have Magnet playing on the stairs, and there's nowhere he's going to go. Aces, while his mute jammer does work, he himself will as well. Gets a nice kill onto I believe that was Ponef, if I remember correctly, leaving, or sorry, my apologies, onto Shockwave. That was the Blackbeard. And now Shepard eliminating Rizraz will make it a little bit closer, but still advantage in favor of Mindfreak. Now gone. Red Groove takes out Kings. A double for Red Groove. Taking out Kings and Aces. And Shepard eliminated by Magnet. It's all up to Red Groove with the clutch. All they need to do is play keep away. And he's just out of time.
We see a lot of the rounds end just basically due to time. It's not everyone dying. It's not the defuse going down. We're basically just running out of time.
What do you think that speaks to? Do you think that speaks to defensive prowess? Do you think that speaks to a lack of coordination on attack? What would your hypothesis be as to why we see this occurring between these two teams with such great frequency?
Well, they both seem to keep wanting to have control and then wait and wait and wait until they get it. But seeing as they never really get control, they push their attack way too late. And they just end up attacking with too little time left for them to be able to win based off a defuse, right? All you have to do is stop them in their initial defuse, and there's just enough. There's no time left.
Unfortunate for both these teams not to be able to get that coordination down. I think it's just something that the more you play together and the more your players get familiar with it, you will be able to fine-tune that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tiny, tiny, tiny things that have to change and have to improve, and then you'll see them be... It'll look like a whole new team, but they've only changed, you know, 1 or 2 aspects of their gameplay.
Now, here's something a little surprising. Mindfreak has won both rounds, so Room Factory can go anywhere they want. Once again, going with a composition that can suit either site, but it's Room Factory who once said ought to go upstairs. They had a chance to go back downstairs, maybe thinking, well, it wasn't successful, let's just try something completely different. Shockwave, who has not really been successful at all, gets tagged and destroyed. Lusty punishes Shockwave. That is a good reason why you do not spawn peek at this level, because you almost always get taken out for your troubles.
And it's always so difficult to justify when you're one of these operators that have gadgets that are very, very strong in the late game. Having a lesion only for 2 lesion mines out and die 30 seconds into the round, that hurts a lot more than if you had a Rook do it. He's already done his job, plates are down, impact holes are done. You don't want to lose your lesion that early.
Not to mention the fact that an MP5 with an ACOG on it is a better, I would argue, spawn peeking machine than Legion's SMG with a reflex sight.
We can both agree on that.
And now that's taken some pressure off a site as well. Legion occupies that realm where he might not necessarily be an anchor, but he can be a support player on site, flex, whatever you'd like to call them, aggressive site. But as you touched on, a Legion is a persistent defender. He needs to stick around for you to get the most usage out of him. Very similar to how you see a Pulse, very similar to how you see a Smoke. He sticks around, so too does his gadget.
Especially on this map. If you put a lesion mine in the window, Blackbeard repelling up is going to get tagged by that lesion mine. You can't pull a lesion mine out while you're repelling. So you force Blackbeard to go back to the roof or go all the way down again. It is a lot of time. Especially
for a Blackbeard who's not a very quick operator with that rifle shield mounted. Ponef inexplicably missing a ton of shots all the way down towards the entrance to Visa and will now try to scamper away. Both he and Joystick sit at the bottom of yellow stairs. You had seen earlier on Lusty burn an entire ADS. 2 of the X-Kairos pellets get eliminated, but still able to get 4 onto the reinforced wall as the pressure comes and is applied effectively onto yellow stairs. Lusty eliminating Joystick. So the ADS had taken some of Lusty's X-Kairos away. Lusty able to finish off the Jaeger with his sidearm in a never-ending grudge match between every projectile operator and Jaeger himself.
But arguably, losing your X-Kairos to Jaeger is the single best thing that they could have stopped for the attacking team in this round. Still having smokes left on glass and grenades left on sledge.
Tons of opportunity as well for Mindfreak to be able to consume this site. If I recall correctly, Oregon was Room Factory's pick, Consulate being Mindfreak's pick. And they are showing why, as now Shepard goes down. That DMR of Blackbeard, I don't even think we've seen his Scar run at all because of how much work that DMR can do. Ponef and Red Groove are the last 2 left, but double for Ponef as he eliminates Lusty, and Rizraz falls 2. The Doc is out. It still has 3 stim pistols. Could potentially juice up both himself and the Ela, but I guess more focused on pure fragging potential at the moment as we hit the halfway mark of the diffuser. Mindfreak holding an advantage, not just in numbers, but also in rounds, currently up 2-0. Ponef falls, and we'll go for a repel on the Blackbeard. He has all 3 kills so far in the round, and he'll need to get the last 2. As Red Groove goes down to Magnet, it's all up to Ponef. He has to fight against a Thermite and a Sledge. Shoot away at the Claymore, running out of time, even if he gets the ace, which he won't as Kings takes him down. That diffuser just very, very far gone.
Watching this round here, there might be more to it than just them not having enough time when they attack as well. They seem to just not be managing time as good. In a situation like this, even if Ela were to get the 2 kills, he just wouldn't have had time to defuse. You have to play more aggressive. You have to take bigger chances. You're not expected to win your 2v4 retake, right? So you gotta gamble it. You gotta get in there and still leave enough time left that if you kill everyone in some magical way, you can still defuse.
If there's going to be a defensive operator that kills everybody, and Ela is a very good starting candidate. I'm surprised, though. The rotate from Ponef to take the Blackbeard down on the window was a very important pick. You got rid of the crossfire of the Glaz that looked like he was playing on connector. You had the Thermite who was inside of the actual objective itself. There was really no winnable scenario in that way. So what do? You dispatch the Ela to take care of the Blackbeard. You now have a much safer path into the actual objective if you can beat one of the other 2 in a fight. But there was no opportunity. You had tons of time. The Doc did not overheal, either the Ela nor himself, and you basically had 2, ghosts of those operators having to fight.
Yeah, the amount of time they spent waiting when you were mentioning that overheals were possible. If they initiated their take there, maybe Ela would have had enough time because, as you say, she's a really good 1vx operator because she just doesn't have to reload. You can kind of kill the whole team and not really need to reload, so...
But Zeronic, a headshot is an instant kill. You could kill the whole team with every operator without needing to reload.
Arguably, you'd never need to reload in an entire game.
That's a very good point. Shockwave up on top of the console or admin office windows. My apologies. Admin office windows. Lusty just no way to deal with that Twitch drone. He'll lose his Mira, even though it is bandited. Now get hit with X-Kairos. Manages to shave a couple off, but likely will still lose that Mira at some point as now they take the bandit charge as well. Lusty will have to peel away at some point. We'll use that angle. That's a smart play to be able to still get an angle on what will be opened up from the Mira window.
But this is still amazing because they're wasting so many gadgets to get something that isn't even the bomb site.
No, they've put a ton of pressure. You can see, oh no, Magnet jumps out, tries to, I guess, take one of the repelled up, but it is too long of a run and Joystick.
It's a very optimistic run out for a 2-2.
Yeah, and especially with a gun with a slower rate of fire and not a high amount of damage with that UMP. Lusty is downed as well. Room Factory in trouble for the first time. On Consulate, they hold a lead, but they could see it diminish depending on the way that Room Factory plays the next minute and a half. Neither of these teams have been particularly strong with time management, as you said. They have opportunity, but you said as well, they used a lot of gadgets just to get one Mira inside of admin.
Yeah, it seems like they're always figuring out the more or less the best way they can deal with the situation. They're just taking a little bit too long about it.
They're still doing drone work, and look, they really haven't established much presence anywhere but the eastern part, and I don't know why, but Lusty just no way to get back into sight. Rizraz eliminates Shockwave. Joystick had done a good job. He has 2 kills, both the castle and the Mira. He finished them off, leaving Kings inside a bathroom and the rest on or near site. A kill hole on yellow stairs, but there's nobody there. This is a situation where they'll have to fight through the castle barricades as well, and the pathing that has been set from Mindfreak.
Kill holes like that always being extremely scary to go up to, because if anyone is waiting, you're dead instantly.
Yes.
And it's a good way to bait other people.
Especially with an ACOG. Red Groove with a great pocket grenade will take himself out of action. That could have been just a really unfortunate set of circumstances and just a celebratory jiggle. Leaving only 30 seconds left. Mindfreak still just hanging on. A bad start. Joystick will get finished off, but King's down as well. Rizraz traded off of by Shepard, leaving only Aces to contend. Kings is down. We'll need to pick him up. What a shot from Aces, routinely eliminating Joystick. He'll pick up Kings. This is their only real chance. Shepard getting the defuse down while Pone watches from afar. They'll stick the landing and that diffuser goes off. It takes 7 seconds, but that was plenty of time, opting not to pop the Mira. The ACOGs on the attackers will do them well, though Shepard will absorb some damage. You take a look in the top left, both Kings and Aces very low, though Shepard gets eliminated, leaving just the Hibana. A high rate of fire will get pushed together, takes the head off of one. We'll try to go for a second now, too, as it looks like Aces will wriggle his way in. Start to work away at the diffuser as Ponef will need to get back to sight, but doesn't necessarily know it. The defuse will be quite easy. Aces working away. Ponef just completely unaware. Will he get it in time? One more hit. Aces, can you make it work? The defenders steal it away. Room Factory just unaware, and Aces capitalizes.
And that is a huge gamble, because his Valkyrie cam was gone. There is no way for them to call if he was able to shoot him there. He knew he ran away after Bennett taking those few pot shots, hitting him in the leg. Most people would just have gotten off.
He had to stick it. He had no choice. The diffuser was at a time where even if you got the kill at Hibana at that point, you likely wouldn't have been able to get the defuse. And right now, a very triumphant 4-0 for Mindfreak. Need I remind everybody watching that APAC is still searching for their first map win at a PC Pro League event. Will Mindfreak be able to break that trend? We said it was likely last time around when they were up 4-2, but now it's 4-0. This looks like a little bit more doable for them.
I'd probably put my money on Mindfreak for this one, yeah.
The whole team pitching in now. Magnet, who hadn't had the best performance on Oregon, now doing well and showing up for his team too. And some great clutches from all members. I like that Oregon, it was more of an individual effort. There were some strong performances in a couple rounds by certain players. Rizraz was the most consistent, of course. Outpaced by Shockwave, who has looked like the best player in this entire map series so far. You got to think as well, though, Red Groove did suffer that pocket nade. Either that or he just mistimed it and blew up himself. If that doesn't work out, you use that frag grenade to dispatch somebody inside a projector. You've also got the IQ situated on that balcony to be able to look in. It makes it more difficult to be able to get inside of that site and put the pressure on that we saw that happen. As well, you don't really allow Aces nor King to be able to get the pressure and establish the push that they needed to if you've got a third sitting on that balcony.
Yeah, and we saw really good choice from Mindfreak going for the revive there. 10 seconds left. Most people would maybe have tried to fight while the defuse was going down because you're still in a 1v1, right? But going back, getting your teammate being able to pinch and then fight one player at a time with a crossfire.
Stronger together.
Watch.
And Lusty is just waiting and is absolutely annihilating anybody trying to look through these windows. Let that be a lesson to you. Lusty, after being taken down as Capitao to almost 1 health earlier in Oregon, has said no thank you and has been able to watch all of these windows and angles, and Room Factory has gained no ground on them whatsoever. They've lost their Jaeger, whose gadget will hang around, so like you said, losing a Legion to a spawn peak, not great. You lose all of the potential goo mines that are generated over time. Losing a Jaeger who very likely has set down 3 ADS, not as terrible.
No, I mean you don't want to lose anyone, right? But at least if you're gonna take a gamble like this, do it with someone that isn't getting stronger as the round progresses.
Of course.
And I think maybe Room Factory's figured out that Mindfreak's figured out that Room Factory has some sort of window fever. Seeing as every round on Oregon, something was being peaked.
They've been peeking every round on every single map. I mean, it's very brazen. You mentioned respect. I mean, I think you can make an argue that you don't respect the team if you think that spawn peaks are going to work out. There's a reason why we so rarely see spawn peaks from the teams competing at the highest level of Pro League, and that's because it almost never works, because you know and respect the shots of your opponents.
Yeah. And it's the same reason when we see it rarely, you have this fear of it, right? Because you don't know if it's going to happen, so you have to kind of check for it. But when you see it every round, it doesn't scare you as much. You're checking every window anyway. You're just going to more likely pre-fire them, and it honestly makes spawn killing really difficult if it's something you do continuously.
You can get under the skin of players too. I mean, imagine you're trying to mount a comeback. You know, it's you're down or you're in overtime first time, and you spawn peek for the very first time ever that whole matchup. You catch them completely off guard. You've also managed to get under their skin. A good crossfire here situated as Ace is not able to complete it. Shepard gets a kill on Naponev. Oh no, and takes down Kings as well, though, as Aces eliminates Shockwave. And right now, Mindfreak just has one left. There's been so much action. It's all up to Shepard to clutch. Can APAC win its first map on PC Pro League? Time running out. Diffuser goes down. Shepard will need to clutch as Lusty falls. And still 3 members and a Diffuser on round number 5. Could be a flawless 5-0 for Mindfreak. Shepard knows where the Diffuser is, but there is 0 long-range engagements that he is going to want to take. A beautiful shot on a Magnet, and goes for another Shepard. Can you clutch for your team? Still got the Blackbeard up top, and he's got a Glaz as well.
This is one of those unwinnable situations unless Mindfreak makes a mistake.
And it doesn't look like they're going to at all. They see him start to go for the Diffuser. APAC wins their first map on PC Pro League. Mindfreak equals the series, and it's 1-1 as we head to map number 3, Coastline.
I didn't expect the 5-0.
I did not at all. There's a reason why they picked this map. There was a...
Sure, you see people pick their map. You don't normally see them go 5-0, right?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you like this map, all right, great. But that was a pretty good 5-0. We saw a couple rounds on Oregon that maybe Mindfreak shouldn't have won, probably shouldn't have gone to overtime. Room Factory should have been able to close it out in, without needing extra innings. Fine. But Consulate, that is as definitive as possible, puts a really great exclamation mark, and now APAC can say, we can fight. And you might even see Mindfreak be able to take the fight on Coastline as well, a map that I would argue Coastline probably plays a bit more similar to Consulate than it does Oregon.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this kind of proves the fact that Room Factory, they're good on small maps. They're really good on small maps. Mindfreak seemed like a different team on Consulate, right? We were about a minute out of them even being close to executing, and 4 people were dead and they were planting.
So much action that I think we were still doing our, okay, things aren't happening, we can talk about anything that we really want, and oh my god, everybody is dead.
They only just started up the floor and opening up the floor and piano, and the Diffuser was down and 4 people were dead.
So a great individual effort on Oregon was the story there. Both Shockwave and Rizraz doing a fantastic job for their team. And then you look on Consulate, a much broader team effort. All the weight was carried almost equally by members of Mindfreak. They got a 5-0, which is very, very surprising. I think we've only seen a couple so far, both yesterday and today. So I think that speaks to the testament of these teams. So we're going to be doing the coin flip, and we'll see which team is going to defend first on our tiebreaker matchup of Coastline. I'm excited for this. Like we said earlier on with Coastline, you have 4 sites that are viable. Now, when we say viable, maybe some are not preferred, but they are viable. Not like in Oregon where you've got 2 sites that really, some people would argue, aren't viable. Chalet, definitely one site that's not viable.
I think when the main thing when we say a site is viable, it's that we haven't found out a way to break it yet, right? We don't know what the weakness is with the site, so we can't even make good defense strats yet. Well, the strats might be good, but we don't know what the weaknesses are yet, because no one's found this. When you look at Tower on Oregon, it only takes 2 things to win it, right? You either get the top floor, you get meeting control, and then you can't play Tower. So on defense, we don't have that on maps like Consulate yet.
Right, if you're able to cut off meeting or even attic, there's nowhere for them to go, and you just come right in, and that's it. And there's nothing for them to do at all. So we'll update you on the scores of both the Team Liquid match that's going on right now against Rogue. I am very interested to know how that's going. We'll be able to update you. There should be a little thing that pops up on the screen at some point. I know that the Rainbow Six channel is doing it. There's a little infographic popping up telling you the scoreline. So sorry about the spoilers, but I mean we're interested in knowing how it's going.
Yeah.
So we're waiting on Coastline. Should be interesting. I would imagine that not as much Ying Glass play on Consulate as we saw on Oregon. I would wager that a reason why you didn't get a lot of use out of it. The Yings didn't seem to be, the Ying plays didn't seem to be that effective for either team.
Well, even if it were super effective on those maps, I don't think it's going to be on Coastline, because if you look at something like Bedroom, there's only really a corridor you can attack from if you want to make that work. Because coming from the window is not a nice thing. Coming from the hatch, good chance of you getting C4'd from below. Or even getting smoked out. If you drop in the hatch room and they played reinforced with a wire,
right,
you're stuck, right? So this whole explosive execution on Consulate is a little bit more difficult, especially with the repels, the drops, the long hallways. You can't speed it up as fast.
Now, Coastline is a map that we've seen a lot of Glaz on, we've seen a lot of Blackbeard on, just naturally. I think these are maps that play very well to the strengths of the operators. I mean, whether you want to argue that these operators have certain strengths that work well on all maps, fine, but I think Coastline is one that is well suited to both of them. There's lots of windows, there's lots of angles they can hold. If you're attacking Hookah or if you're attacking Blue Bar or Sunrise Bar, you've got the ruins there for a Glaz or a Blackbeard as a long sightline. You know, it's very difficult for the defenders to be able to do much, and because there's so much open space outside, runouts can happen, but you often don't see them because you get punished very, very quickly.
Yeah, and especially because most of your runouts are jumps from windows. You have quite a long way to get back. And if you take something like Glass and you put them on the parking roof, right, there are ways that you can see all the way through VIP into the hallway. You can cut a third of the map with about 20 seconds of work. You're not going to clear it, but you know anyone that's going to rotate.
We do have an update for you, just skipping off of this match for just a second as the coin flip goes on to see which team will defend first and which will attack first. Spoilers incoming, the Team Liquid and Rogue matchup. Rogue is currently leading by a score of 1-0. So NA has another chance to potentially send a team guaranteed, because there is no guarantee that any of these regions will have a single team represent them in the finals, to the best of my knowledge. As the other winners brackets right now would be Black Dragons competing against Supremacy, and then you've got as well ENCE playing against FaZe. So I guess technically there is a chance that Latin America will most likely have 1-2, but NA, some uncertainty right now for them. So hopefully an exciting matchup. Right now, though, we've been treated to a spectacle, a very closely fought Oregon, and then a Consulate that was extraordinarily lopsided, proving that Mindfreak was able to take Room Factory's map and push it to extra innings, and Room Factory unable to even take one round off of Mindfreak in map number 2. Coastline is a whole different ball game. Now, with Coastline, we've been also talking about time management. Is Coastline a map where you're going to see pushes fall apart even faster with a lack of time management? Is there a way that it gets played out due to the verticality, due to the fact that almost every single floor, almost every single wall is destructible on Coastline? Is there a way that a team that doesn't manage their time effectively can potentially close that gap as we load into the map?
I guess one of the things that make time management a little bit easier on Coastline is that your rotates are awfully awkward to take. If you need to get from one end of the map to the other, there's only really the roof as an attacker, or you can take some of the hallways, but there's so many angles and so many things for you to check that it's unlikely that you're gonna take these elaborate like cancel strats where you run to A and then you all of a sudden change around and go to B.
Room Factory either, well, they didn't, we don't know if they won the coin toss, but they are opting to defend first, and here is why we like Coastline. First defense. Sunrise Blue Bar.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say which one's the better, right? We're still waiting for this one strat to come out where everyone just decides that this is what we're all gonna play. This is how we normally see the site being played, though, opening up the wall out to the garden, so you're kind of allowing people to get in your site, but just making it really hard for them to plant. Which is a super interesting way of playing it that we don't normally see on other maps, or other bomb sites for that matter. There's, like, if you go all the way back to plane, I guess, you could allow them to get in on A because you could always kill them from B.
Looked like Joystick was going to go for a spawn peek. He is, looks over towards Ruins, but looks away at the last second. Oh, how much of a tease that is, as it looked like the Ash of Kings was coming within striking distance of him. A heavy hold upstairs is pretty standard as well. With a castle, you're likely going to throw barricades into the little closet or the front entrance, the foyer of Sunrise Bar. You usually put one inside a courtyard, might throw one inside of the main kitchen door, or even one inside of the Sunrise door leading to kitchen, depending on what you're trying to do with this strategy. Makes it very difficult. And the one thing with castles that while he might not be strong on every site, there are certain sites where you get a lot of strength from his barricades by forcing them to funnel into certain avenues that you have prepared for them.
And again, you force them to use their gadgets. And it is really important that an ass charge, a grenade, a hibana, anything gets used on that castle wall. First off, you get your audible cue. You know they're coming from there. They're definitely not going to open it if they don't want to push from there.
Ace is getting slowed by the open doorway of the Jaeger of Joystick, who's waiting. Yes, that 416C carbine is a strong weapon. I don't know if I'll take it over the rifle shield of a Blackbeard. Joystick fighting the long-range engagement, trying to take out the castle all the way down inside of Hookah. Doesn't look like he's there as he's fallen off now. Absorbed a couple shots and had to use a second rifle shield as Aces had broken. Joystick still persists, though, but turns his back. Sees the Blackbeard and doesn't last too long, though Aces loses almost half of his health in the engagement for first kill of this game. Kings will add to that as Shockwave now goes down. You've lost Joystick and Shockwave. Those were two members of the team that were playing just off a site. And you can see they also look like they've opened up. Either they've taken out the castle barricade on kitchen or the third was used elsewhere.
With 1 minute left, they've finally got full top floor control, which is basically what they will need to be able to ever get a plant off.
Pwn lurks just by white stairs, can retreat into main lobby, will get drone, knew the drone was coming, heard it, and anticipated, but doing a good job will kill at least 10-15 seconds of Ace's time. As a Blackbeard with a rifle shield on, exceptionally slow, the slowest operator in the game, and will need to try to get back to the rest of the team relatively quickly, or else or else the rest of the team will have to figure out without him. They seem to be doing just that, as the only one left now is Pwn. And Aces rotating smartly. The Ella unable to escape. The Blackbeard Mindfreak take their 6th round in a row. And a solid body shot. The damage from that DMR, it really doesn't matter where you hit your target with that gun. They're going to be gone very fast.
That is such a scary gun to peek as well, because you know especially with a Jaeger peek and a Blackbeard, you know you're only going to have to hit the shield twice. But he only have to hit your leg twice. So.
And he's got 2 shields.
Exactly.
So Hookah Lounge and Billiards for Mindfreak. Usually and traditionally we will see a VIP and Master Bedroom will be the place that they go. A lot of people call it the VIP or rather entertainment or whichever you call it. Usually called theater, usually called or projector now. Projector and Master Bedroom seem to be, like Master and Projector seem to be the 2 terms that we've used like colloquially, as I struggle to pronounce words at this day, at this time of day. Some heavy work being done to blow up the floor, and I like this. I don't see that often from teams. They don't usually put a lot of effort into opening up that floor because usually the way to hold it exposes you to that big window that is up to the hookah deck as well as ruins, where you will usually have an attacker standing and watching.
I would assume that all of those holes are for downstairs. Seeing as that is normally where you would plant if you're planting in billiards. So it's hard to say yet. I mean, this is probably one of the sites we see the least at the moment, right?
For a period of time, it was the 2nd most common, which I think is very astonishing that it has changed as quickly as it has. You also don't see a lot of billiards pushes anymore, which I think is very interesting. Maybe this is an APAC team using this strategy. They honestly might be able to see it. We know that on Cafe, they typically hold the opposite site. They don't really fight over piano, they fight usually over cocktail, whereas usually a lot of teams will originally, at least in North America, EU and LATAM, they will have a lot of bodies inside of cigar and piano that will fall off as the push happens. So just a difference in dynamics between regions. For us, it just simply could be the fact that they're not expecting a push into bomb site A, but you can take a look. Pwn is right there by the window. There's nobody playing billiards itself. Magnet looks like he is dangerously close to being exposed to the glass if the glass of Pwn decides to push to the south.
We see the holes here actually doing their job. Ash saw the holes, stops. They're now trying to clear downstairs. They want to make sure that they're not going to get shot as pushing through.
Shockwave gets destroyed by Rizraz with a very nice shot upwards towards the roof, and your Ying is gone. That is crucial for the defenders. They have now just not only eliminated a ton of utility, but also they have made that Glaz far less worrisome than he already was.
Yeah. As long as he still has his 2 smokes left, there is a bit of utility to help you get your plant down. But Ying is all about pushing the defenders back deeper into the site, making C4s and stuff like that less threatening.
You've also made it so that Glaz now needs to help with the entry because the Ying is gone. So because of that, Pwn has to abandon his post on runes, come up inside of Aquarium, and do some drone work to enable Joystick to be able to entry successfully. But they're not really doing much of anything. They're just kind of treading water, just sitting and waiting. And now there's a minute to go. A lot of ground to cover still.
Exactly, and they really want to get this mirror window open, but as long as there's still a guy alive in bar, it's most likely not going to happen.
Shepard just waits and watches to see if anybody's going to push. The Jaeger slow peek. Shepard misses that first shot. That gigantic head hitbox of Rizraz does him no favors. The Jaeger goes down very quickly, and now an even 4-4. But I mean, losing the flank or the late flank of Jaeger, not that detrimental, but it gets made worse by Shepard getting a second kill onto Lusty, meaning that your site and support ops are going to be heavily relied upon now as the push finally starts.
I really like their defense idea here with the holes downstairs, though.
Oh no, the Mira exposes herself to try and take out the Hibana that pushes in, but Ponef is there to at least trade at worst, but they don't even need to. Magnet sees one push in from hallway, takes down Joystick. You can see Kings now trying to get back to site, sees the Thatcher, eliminates Shepard, and Magnet and Aces manage to get Pwn and Red Groove. Mindfreak right now looking so good in Room Factory. Really need to find that magic that they had on map number 1.
We have to give them immense credit for that destruction of the floor. They had to post a guy up downstairs. Sure, he did win the gunfight against the 2 people coming to actually use those, but pushing the defuse up so far means that the guy playing in bar all of a sudden has twice the strength. The one playing behind the mirror window, a little bit unlucky getting leg shot by Glass there, but I honestly think that was the breaking point of that round.
The Mira had to step out in order to try to prevent the plant that was going down in the smoke. It was a risky gamble, and you had to rely on the rest of the team to do their jobs. That was a lot of trust that Mindfreak put in each other, but it was well placed as it all worked out. I mean, Ponef was the last one alive, got felled very quickly at the end, and now, speaking of things you don't see all that often, a shotgun echo as Shockwave almost nearly takes off the head of Ponef as he moved through the doorway inside of VIP.
They must be wanting a lot of destruction if they are running Mira shotgun, Echo shotgun, and Smoke shotgun.
There is a strategy that has to be in mind here. They'll go upstairs inside of Master Bedroom, or Penthouse and Theater, or Master Bedroom and Projector, as I suppose most people will call it. They'll shoot away at the floor, and no bandit either, so this is a lot of destruction. First of all, they're going to concede that master wall right away. There's no mute jammers, there's no bandit charges, there's nothing to stop a quick Hibana push, or even a thermite if it had been brought. Sometimes you will see a thermite on this map. This doesn't end up being a very thermite-friendly map most of the time. But they're essentially taking out the entire floor of Master Bedroom, which seems to do 2 things. Number 1, it's going to force them to plant on the bed, and number 2, that bed is easily reachable through a nitro cell being guarded by one of those 2 panels that we see directly in front of us, or even a nitro cell from below. If you can aim it through those floor beams, you can very easily stop the plant on the bed.
Exactly. First off, this makes the Echo Drone much, much stronger. Because when you tap people and make them have to move, you might be able to see them from downstairs. It makes it less comfortable for you to plant anywhere on the floor, even though they don't have a pulse.
It's surprising that they wouldn't just go for a Pulse or a Valkyrie to be able to cover that instead of going with the maximum destruction they have. And like I said, I think there is a strat that they definitely have in mind that has worked before, because I don't know if I've seen, and I don't know if you'd agree, that much destruction on that particular bomb site by any team in
No, the only time I've ever seen something really like this is when we're talking calf top floor, where people just destroy everything. But it's always such a gamble.
Joystick getting fought, and Rizraz, that is surgical entry droning. He had 2 drones with him and Kings as well. Joystick lasts just under a minute, or just over a minute. But look at this. Deceptively, we have already reached the halfway mark of round number 3. I guess maybe a bit mystified by how much shotgunning and remodeling and renovating was going on inside of the penthouse.
Even though they actually have quite a lot of map control. And if you try and see how the drones are going around and these guys are clearing together, It's very precise. They've definitely got a plan for exactly what they're clearing, in what time and what fashion they're clearing it in.
And Ponef right now is playing aggressively near the site while all the rest lurk on it. You've got 3 anchors right now currently situated in Projector inside of Theater. As pressure gets applied to the window of Penthouse, it's just Ponef right now, and now they were about to have a party in the Projector room before Ponef falls off. Does get spotted very quickly by a drone. Doesn't know that there's one so close nearby to that service entrance doorway just outside of the kitchen.
But right now it's seeming to work. They're burning a lot of time, and the attackers can't go in yet.
In a situation now where you've got 3 of the best final minute operators with 30 seconds to go, though Red Groove taken down by what appears to be a pretty routine grenade from Rizraz. Ponef finishes off Ace downstairs and now needs to try to work back to site, though traded just a couple minutes later by Magnet as Rizraz goes and gets a grenade onto Red Groove, who he had downed earlier. I guess that's a second grenade that will finish things off. Hibana disoriented very slightly by the Yokai drone. Now Shockwave will have to go up himself. Don't know if that was an intentional drop or not, but will lose his Yokai as Kings eliminate Shepard. It's all up to Shockwave. Not very quick for the for the Echo at all, and only has a shotgun. Still has the Yokai overlay on your screen. Actually looks
I was gonna say, it actually looks kind of cool.
looks kind of neat, but doesn't really matter. Tries to come up those white stairs and gets shot down.
Yeah, the overlay not helping him in that situation.
Not at all.
I mean, he was 2 seconds away from winning that entire round. If he hit the shot with the Yokai drone, Buck didn't take it out, that was their round.
The problem with the Yokai drone, it didn't actually look like it got stuck on the ceiling. It might have
I
hit
think
the
it was
fan.
still floating around on the fan, or stuck in between the fan blades, I guess you called them.
I think that's a major buff for Echo that really goes under the radar, is the ability to adhere to certain terrain. Way too many times you try to stick your Yokai drone up there and it just bobbles and hangs for what feels like eternity. There's no way you're getting it back at that point. So
You could almost say that it didn't need to actually stick to the roof. It could just float in mid-air at a 3-meter height or something. That would be interesting to see.
or even just come down faster.
Yeah.
If you go up and it doesn't stick, just have it immediately plummet down. That would be a possibility. Look at Mindfreak now. Everybody pulling their weight. Lusty, who had been hot last game and played well as well on Oregon right now, is the only person on the team. If it wasn't for Shepard and Ponef, well, this whole team would be falling apart for Room Factory. 8 consecutive round victories for Mindfreak.
Yeah, so at this point, do we think this is just adrenaline pumping off the 5-0 and they're so hyped about it, or have they worked that hard on Coastline?
10 seconds
'Cause
left
they
before
seem to know what they're doing.
It seems like they know what they're doing, but I also think that there was a pretty good strat that was being employed by Room Factory. I think there's a couple things right now.
Attackers recovered.
Mindfreak has played on LAN a number of times. I think we like to try to talk about how LAN is a different beast. You've got teams who perform very well from the comfort of their homes, their dens, their bedrooms, wherever they're playing from. They play completely different in a real-life scenario. As well with Room Factory, to the best of my knowledge, they've made roster changes over the last little while. This is not a team that has been together for a ton of time, and while they are a good team, they're still untested and unproven. They don't play at a pro league level. Yes, they did well in Challenger League, but they failed to make it. It could just simply be that as a team, they are struggling with nerves, maybe they're struggling with experience, or maybe simply the fact that they just got 5-0'd has gotten to them.
Buck getting the pulse kill here and Ash taken out, that's a good trade. That's worth it. Still having Buck alive to go downstairs and remove maybe bandit charges or just push people out of default corners.
Defender is approaching a
Oh,
kill
that
zone.
a Valkyrie cam aiding Rizraz as Shepard tries to repel in. Right now, it honestly just looks like Mindfreak is just running right over them.
As long as Buck stays alive, they still have this chance of, you know, pushing out the mirror windows, and they need these mirror windows gone.
They will need the Buck to either take the mirror windows or the bandit charges or both. Though Kings eliminating Shockwave means there is no more Buck. It's all a Ying and a Hibana.
When you don't get those windows open, it is almost impossible to get in. Jaeger getting his 3rd, I believe, this round.
Red Groove goes down, Aces eliminates it, and it is all over but the crying right now. 4-0 Mindfreak with 9 rounds in a row. This is Room Factory just falling apart.
I guess this is what you call snowballing, right?
Absolutely. They're just, right now, it does not look like Room Factory has what it takes to be able to match this team of Mindfreak. The 5-0, obviously disheartening. Going on to Coastline, maybe Room Factory lost the ban phase resoundingly But
Yeah, you never know. I mean, some teams are willing to gamble a map that they don't even play, right? Just because they assure the other team is going to ban them. I don't think that is what happened here. I think Mindfreak took a 5-0. They are so confident, so hyped right now that it doesn't matter what bomb site you're playing on. Because the strat we saw from Room Factory, that's not an easy thing to read right off the bat and counter, and they didn't seem like they cared. They just took their time and took the gunfights, and that was it.
There was a very noticeable lack of coordination there as well. I would love to actually listen into Room Factory's comms right now to hear if there's any hostility. Is there any blame? Because not only is it snowballing in terms of the way that you're playing, teams get confidence and all that, but it can also snowball in terms of attitude as well. If teams are fighting, if there's, tenseness, your comms can typically drop off. There are some teams that don't have that mental resiliency to be able to keep pace with other teams. If you're losing your comms, if you're losing your head, if you're losing your cool, the rest of the game is going to fall apart for you as well.
It's not easy to just mentally come back, emotionally come back from a 5-0. You get these, few minutes before the next round starts or the next map starts. Coming back into the talk you have with your team, it's not an easy one because you want to try and explain that we can do this, we can come back, but you just lost the biggest amount you could.
And it gets worse with every single round loss. We got 5-0'd, let's go to Coastline, we can do this. All right, we lost the first round, that's okay, we still got tons of time. All right, we lost the second round. When you lose that fourth round, you're thinking to yourself, oh boy, let's just... I have no doubt that this team wants to come back. Obviously, no team is in this position. Kings eliminates Rizraz. That'll help them. I don't know what happened there. Maybe just Rizraz getting in front of Kings. It does look that way as he's trying to peek around the corner. But no, Kings eliminates Joystick, so at very minimum, he trades off his teammate for a kill against Room Factory, leaving us 4v4 and make that 4v3. Now, Ponev just feeds himself to Magnet. I cannot get over how swiftly this is going. It's hard to remain supportive of a comeback when it just
seems impossible at this moment.
It seems like it's predetermined at this point.
You see Mindfreak, they were playing a whole different way than they were on Oregon, right? They're peeking everything. They're pushing. They're not afraid when they hold an angle. They're not worried about if they're at the exact right angle. They'll step a little bit further out than they maybe should. They know they're going to win these gunfights.
And not only are they winning gunfights without real, they're just taking the fights and they're winning, but you can still hear they're executing their strats, which means they're not letting that confidence get to them. They're not saying, okay, let's just go, let's just kill them. They're taking the time to still follow through with the strat, even if they know that they are confident, even if they know that they can probably still win in a 1v1. Now Ace is eliminating Shockwave. Red Groove and Shepard are the last two left. APAC has not won a match. They won their first map just moments ago. With Red Groove gone, it's all up to Shepard. APAC looking right now to send Mindfreak against the loser of Liquid Rogue. Shepard last one left. He's holed up inside a theater. He'll take Kings down, but it's a 1v3, and he has just a shred of health. The Blackbeard perched up on top of bomb site B will now need to try to evade the Blackbeard's sight lines, but one shot will finish it off. Mindfreak will go back and have one more chance at making the Invitational. APAC is here. Mindfreak eliminating Room Factory 2-1.
And if there's one way you want to come back from very, very close over Oregon,